Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Health. I am C.C. Péan, your hostess, your host, and I am so happy to be here with you this week, live and in living color. I make my home in Tampa, Florida, and just so you know, we are in the middle of a tornado watch. So prayerfully nothing will happen, but if you see the screen go blank, you know what happened. And then send up a prayer for me. Um, this week we are making walnut meat tacos. And I wanted to do this. Anybody who's been watching me knows that I am constantly talking about eating dishes as close to their natural state as possible, keeping our foods so they're not overly processed and preservative packed. Um, Seventh-day Adventists, those of you that are watching that are Seventh-day Adventists, we have a long history of meat alternatives, which is a good thing. However, a lot of these meat alternatives, meat analogs, are packed full of salt, packed full of fat, and packed full of preservatives. So I see meat supplements or meat substitutes as on the path to healthiest eating. It's like, this is meat, this is meat analogs like your bacon and your veggie burgers and all of those things that are made from like soy products, really processed. And then you've got what I'm trying to do, which is taking foods as close to their natural state as possible and turning them into something delicious like nature intended. God has given us so many incredible fruits and vegetables and pulse and legumes and all these things and grains that if we're creative enough, we can come up with great substitutes that are nutrient dense. They give our bodies all they need. They're satisfying. They're antioxidant. They're just rich in all these nutrients. Our bodies take what they need and get rid of the rest. And so that's the journey that I would like you all to join me on as we look at these different types of approaches to meat substitutes. So this evening, we're doing a walnut meat taco. Now, what was posted was that it's going to be a raw taco. And how we're going to bring in the raw component, I have found these incredible jicama wraps. You can get them at Trader Joe's. Jicama is a vegetable that is very, very big in Mexican cuisine. It is basically, it's almost like the texture when you bite into it, it's like an apple, but it pretty much has no flavor, but it adds great crunch. And so our friends at Trader Joe's have figured out a way to take these sometimes they're like this big. They have found a way to thinly slice these into basically like tortillas. This says jicama wraps, but it's really more like a tortilla size. And I think that's great because they're very low in calorie, very low in carbs. There's no fat. It's pretty much nature's, taco shell. And this is what we're going to use this evening for our tacos. And I've also done some brown rice so you can see other ways to use this walnut meat. But this is a great product. And if you have a Trader Joe's near you, go to your produce refrigerated section and look for this. This is a great alternative. So that's one of the things. Also going into our walnut meat are going to be chopped walnuts. We've got about a half a cup here. We've got some lentils. The last time I cooked with you, I used lentils, and we're using them again because they're protein rich, they're delicious, they're easy to keep stored, dry, and get them up ready to eat in under 30 minutes. And I say you can use any kind of lentil really that you want to use for this dish. And these I also got from Trader Joe's. If you can zoom over here to the side. Can you see that? Okay. So these are steamed lentils. So that's another ingredient. This week I'm doing something a little different. You know, I usually talk about the sun-dried tomatoes and olive oil. This week we're going to use the vacuum sealed ones because we don't want to use extra oil this week, and it gives a nice little chewiness. But what you're going to need to do for this component of the menu, there's a little bit of prep. So what you need to do is get some hot water, and you're going to soak these in hot water for up to 2 hours. If you do boiling water, it doesn't take that long, but I soak these for about 2 hours in warm water. So what else are we doing? So I listed the ingredients for the taco seasoning, which is chili powder, ground cumin, and garlic powder, or you can use a ready-made taco seasoning. And I have a taco seasoning that I've made myself. This has cumin, coriander, it has garlic powder, onion powder, all of those things. So you can make your own, or you can just buy a ready-made one, low sodium, of course. What else do we have here? We've got our fixings for our taco. So I'm going to make a mango salsa to go on this. I've got some great avocado. I've got a jalapeno that we're going to use a little bit to put some spice in there. Here are the sun-dried tomatoes that I have soaked in hot water. We've got red onions, we've got white onions, we've got some radish for some more crunch, and then we've got some lime. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, I have a nonstick pan here, and I'm going to take my walnuts and I'm going to put this in the pan and let them toast a little bit. Now you don't have to do this, but what this does is it makes them really fragrant and have like a toastiness, a toasty flavor. And so I'm using chopped walnuts. If you don't have chopped walnuts, no problem. Use the walnuts you have at home. Put them in your food processor and pulse them. You don't want it to go on high because it'll break down into a meal. And then, you know, some people don't like a lot of texture. So if you don't like a lot of texture, that's exactly what you do. You put it in your food processor and break it down. I put it in and I pressed the pulse button about 4 or 5 times, and then I took it out because I didn't want mine to be like a powder, basically. So we're gonna let these toast for a little bit. And my pan is like medium-high heat, no oil in the pan, just a dry pan, and your walnuts. Now, this is a walnut meat taco. There's no reason you can't substitute pecans if you want to. But this one really goes well. The walnuts really go well with the lentils. So we're just gonna let this toast up a little bit. Once that's toasted up, we're going to take it out and we're going to work on the next part. So one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about was, you know, we're in this new year. People are trying new things. I'm always trying something different. And one of the things I wanted to encourage you all to do was to really be conscious about eating. You know, food brings so much comfort. And we're living in stressful times. Life is always stressful, but I feel like we're living in particularly stressful times. And a lot of times people like me eat emotionally to soothe and comfort themselves. And so often we find ourselves eating and we're not even cognizant of what we're doing, you know? So we sit in front of the TV for the movie to unwind at the end of the day, or our favorite television show. We've got a plate of food in front of us and we look up and the food is gone. So I want to encourage you to be more cognizant of when you're eating and take your time and get back to eating with your family at the dinner table and, you know, making it an occasion. Food is about nutrition, but it's a social thing too. And I think one of the things we've gotten away from is really as sitting down like families and enjoying a meal together. We're just constantly rushing, trying to get this and get that out of the way. We really need to bring that back. So let's get away from eating in front of the boob tube, as my mom used to say. And let's get back with our families at the dinner table, enjoying food, trying new recipes, cooking together, and all that good stuff. So this, I'm smelling my walnuts, which lets me know they're nice and toasted. We don't want to do it too long because we don't want it to, we don't want them to burn. So I'm just going to put these carefully back in my little dish. Okay. And now I'm going to put this back on the heat. And to this, I'm going to add about a tablespoon, 1.5 tablespoons of oil. Now, you can always use the spray if you'd like. You don't have to use oil. You can use the spray. We've talked about how you can save some fat calories that way. To this, I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of onion. That's sizzling nicely. I actually had some scallions, so I'm going to add just a little bit of scallions. This is one of those things where you can just add kind of whatever you want to this dish. I'm just going to add a little bit of scallions. I'm going to throw that in the pan. This is cooking rather quickly. Let me turn this heat down. Smelling lovely. And I've got my sun-dried tomatoes that I've soaked. And I'm just going to chop these. You can also put these, if you'd like, in the food processor and break them down once you have soaked them. I'm just going to kind of coarsely chop these. This is going to be nice because you're going to get nice little umami flavored bits of this tomato in there. That's going in there as well. I'm going to do a little more. It's already smelling lovely. Just going to do maybe like 3 more of these. Okay. Just a rough chop. Again, if you want your stuff with less texture, feel free to cook it a little more. And that's going in the pan as well. Now I'm doing a Mexican flavor walnut meat. It's very easily, you can switch this up to an Indian flavor. You use some garam masala, the same cumin and coriander, a little mango powder, or you can do it Italian style with oregano and things like that, fresh basil. There's so many different ways to interpret this. So we've got that going. Now we're going to add our lentils. We've got 1.5 cups of lentils here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this and I'm going to press down just to mash up some of these. Just a little bit. Just to mash up a little bit. Mix this all together. This is one of these dishes that comes together really quick, and it's also a great family meal. This is something that it's pretty hard to mess this up once you get the basic ingredients prepped. So if you have a little chef in the kitchen that wants to step in and cook, this is a great meal for them to help you out with. Okay. Alrighty, so to this, I'm going to add my walnuts. And we're going to mix that together. And I'm going to now take my seasoning, my homemade taco seasoning, and I'm going to sprinkle it over this. What I am going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water just to kind of bring everything together. Just a little bit. Probably about 3 tablespoons worth there. All right. This is looking great, and it's smelling great. So at this point, you would taste it, see if it's where you would like it, or if you need to do a little more to it. And that's what I'm going to do as well. Just grab a spoon. It's actually pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So now, while that is continuing to, cook through a little bit and all meld together, we're going to work on our salsa. Of course, you can buy a ready-made salsa, but salsa is one of the things that's so easy to make. Just whip it together. I'm using mangoes because I wanted to add some sweetness to that peppery taco flavor. So I've got some red onion. I'm going to use like maybe the equivalent of a tablespoon of chopped onion, red onion. I have a jalapeno here. I'm going to cut right down the side so I don't have to worry about those seeds. Okay. This is optional. Of course, you don't have to use jalapeno. I'm just going to mince it. If you do decide to use jalapeno, you want to mince it as fine as possible so nobody gets a big chunk of heat and so that it mixes well throughout the salsa. That's going in there. Got a little jalapeno. And then there's some beautiful mangoes that I peeled and I cut. I'm just going to just cut this a little slimmer. I'm just going to cut this. You can do a peach salsa when it's peach season. There's so many different things you can do for these salsas. Or you can just do your traditional, like pico de gallo with, tomatoes and scallions and onion and cilantro. You know I love cilantro, folk. So we're just mincing this up. Okay. That's going to go in our bowl. So that's how easy this is. When you get your mango, you want it to have a little bit of firmness to it, but one of the measures I always refer to is you want to feel kind of like the back of your ear. If it gives like that, that is a great, your mango is ready to go. You don't want it to be hard because if it's hard, it's likely not going to have any flavor. So we're using about the equivalent, I would say about a quarter, maybe a third cup of mango. Okay. Let's check on this. Oh yeah, this has come together nicely. All right. We're just going to put all of this in our bowl. One of the great things about cooking like this, which is, layers of flavor that I always talk about, is it takes the place of needing a lot of seasoning and sauces and things like that. I like to cook so that every single component can stand on its own. So if you were just to eat this mango salsa, you would say, oh my goodness, this is so good. If you were just to eat the walnut lentil meat, you would enjoy it as well. Well, what do you think happens when you put it all together? Yum. So this is a really simple mango salsa. Like I said, you could always add other things to it, but we're keeping it simple tonight. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt to this, just a pinch. And we're going to squeeze some lime juice on this. There we go. And then we're going to mix this again. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, we are ready to plate. Clear this off. And actually, the first thing I'm going to plate for you all this evening is going to be a bowl. So I'm going to show you how to do this in a bowl. If you're not big on tacos, no problem. I've told you all before, I'm from California, so I'm like half Mexican. So I did some brown rice, some short grain brown rice. I love sticky rice. I'm partial to sticky rice. So we're just gonna put some sticky rice right in the center, if you can see that. This is gonna be a great bowl. Okay, so we've got about 3/4 cup of sticky brown rice. Next, we're going to use some of this yummy walnut lentil meat. Put that right on the side. I've got some carrots here, some shredded carrots. Put right in the front. And here comes our salsa. Put that right at the side. Yum. And we've got our avocado on my board back. Put some avocado on here because you can't have anything remotely taco without some avocado, or as my Haitian family says, zabuka. I'm just going to do a nice little splay of our avocado there. Beautiful. Then we've got some radish that we're going to put there. Radishes are really great for your digestive health. So, don't shy away from those. And then we've got our wedge of lime. So here is our first representation. Can you see that? This is our walnut meat bowl. So we've got our walnut lentil meat. We've got some brown rice, some carrots, radish, mango salsa, avocado, and a lime to squeeze on top. All right, that's number one. And now let's work on our taco. So let me do this now. I panicked the other day. I heard that avocado imports were, there was something going on with avocados. And literally, I could eat like 2 avocados a day. I know there are people that can't stand avocados. I'm not one of them. I absolutely love avocado. I have avocado every single morning on some toast with some probiotic cabbage slaw to get my gut health going in the morning. I love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, so we're going to use our jicama wraps. Now, alternatively to this, you can use corn tortillas, you can use a flour tortilla, you can even use a romaine leaf if you want to. We're going to use these really neat jicama wraps from Trader Joe's. And now look how thin they are. They're really thin. They're thin, but they're still hefty enough to hold up. So what we're basically going to do, this one's a little janky, so I'm gonna do 2 of them on my plate. And to this, we're going to add a little bit of our walnut meat right in the center. This walnut meat does not want to obey, but I'm going to make it obey. Putting it right in the center. Now, what I want you to also know, if you really want to keep this recipe raw, you don't have to cook the walnut. You can soak the walnut and chop it up, drain it and chop it up. You can also soak your lentils. You probably have to soak them for a good little bit. There's a whole school of thought about sprouting things, so you could also sprout your lentils. But you don't have to cook it. You could really, just do your walnuts and some onions and things like that and toss it. There are people that go hardcore like that. I'm not that one, but there are people that do. So there is a way to keep this closer to being raw than what we're doing here. So we're going to put a little bit of our salsa on top. And we've got our beautiful radishes again. We've got some, we're going to do a couple slices of avocado on top here. Oops. A couple slices of avocado on top of each of these. We're going to put a lime wedge in the center in case somebody wants to zip it up a bit. And guess what I found? It's a little damp, so it's giving me a hard time. But, oh my goodness. There we go. Ta-da! Cilantro. You can't have Mexican cuisine without cilantro. I mean, you can, but have you really eaten Mexican cuisine if you haven't put cilantro on it? No, you can't. And these are our tacos on raw jicama tortillas. Didn't those come together beautifully? Super simple. And you know what? I haven't been doing this lately, but I'm going to taste one of these, and you all will see from my expression whether it's good or not. All right, I'm going in. This looks so good. And you see how it holds together? It almost holds together better than corn tortillas. You have to basically double corn tortillas because they start to fall apart. So let's see what this tastes like. Rather tasty. You have the crunchiness of the jicama. You got the savory walnut lentil mixture topped with the mango salsa, the creamy avocado, and then the cilantro. Yummy. So thanks for joining us. You know what? And I didn't even squeeze the lime on it. I bet you the lime, let me squeeze the lime on it. Bet you that's going to take it to a whole nother level. A little bit of lime on there. We try it again. This is so good. And you know what else? It's gluten-free. If you're a person who's avoiding gluten, this is the perfect gluten-free meal. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you all next week on Reclaiming Your Health. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.